That's like, don't fall in love with your own work, because at the end of it, when you're leaving this entire project, you connect with so many people, you take so many connections and relationships with you. But there is this term in management consulting called high five diffusion. It it really means like you have the capability to, at the end of the day, give a high five to the other person and say you did a great job, and not take all the credit and not worry about taking all the credit, because my idea as a consultant, as a coach, is to build capability and then.
But I think this high five diffusion thing, I didn't know this term existed, but I find myself constantly living by this philosophy and really being like, oh, you guys are the subject matter experts. I'm just more curious. How are we thinking about this? And really being this, coming from this place of like humble inquiry versus telling people what to do. I think
Yes.
in terms of the things that you were talking about being as a coach, you're helping the horse get to the water versus giving the horse the water. And you're helping them come to their own answers. So they own the answers. They feel smart about coming up with the answer on their own. And because now they own it, that's going to obviously remove some of that friction between their current state and what kind of behaviors you want them to sort of, start living by day to day. Right. So now, okay, so I am
Self-discovery, right? We help them
love
on
it.
the path of their self-discovery by asking questions. That's an
That is
art. We need to learn to ask the right questions to help them stay on that path of self-discovery. Yet, I'm going to sound very mean, but as a coach, I have a framework at the back of my head. I have the processes that I want them to adopt. But, you have to help them understand that on their own, on that path of self discovery. And when I was earlier touching upon, like, yes, there are so many processes, but I don't shove everything down the throat immediately. Whatever I'm proposing them, wherever I'm adding value, I will showcase value of one or two of those things. Let's say a visual management tool or a demand and capacity management tool. I will not call it that. But what I am telling them, showcasing value through, is that when they've actually seen the value, that's when I'm bringing the formal, and then they're more open. And that path to self discovery by asking questions is exactly that, to help, from here to here. There has to be a shift in the mindset. And when I'm telling you to do something versus when you are realizing yourself that if you do this, it will help you. See, there's a whole mindset shift that happens automatically. Your approach to that action will be very different. So I totally agree with you what you were saying.
I think one lesson or message that, is definitely a takeaway or learning from these conversations till now into the podcast is, even though we might be talking about digital transformation, implementing Salesforce or some Oracle or some sort of cloud implementation, what we're really talking about is how do we help people through change?
Yes.
It's all about people, irrespective of how complicated the technology is, blah, blah, blah.
It's people.
Boils down to people. And and I think I find myself so many times in conversation with people, they're so like, again, just I'm sort of, I sound like a broken tape record. I find people constantly being stuck in like these complicated jargon, techno babble, speak, process, or this is this futuristic thing, and it's like blah, blah, blah. But they forget that you have to take people along on that journey.